Somehow we're halfway through the latest Star Trek Lower Decks season already. Things are heating up for the crew of the USS Cerritos in the brand new 5th episode, Empathalogical Fallacies. That's a mouthful. Not one, but 3 Betazoids have come aboard the ship and the crew are going mad. Chaos ensues and a certain Vulcan gets much to do in this explosive new installment of Star Trek Lower Decks. Knowing what the average run-of-the-mill day is like on the ship, this episode's sure to be something special. Watch on for our detailed thoughts on the latest Lower Decks adventure below. Warning, spoilers for Empathalogical Fallacies, that's a word I'm not going to forget today. Watch ahead at your own peril if you've not seen the episode. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack and let's get into this video. Before we mainly warp into this video as always, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. Okay, engage. Everything about the last couple of weeks has been about this mysterious alien ship, and this week's not much different. Irritatingly, the series has been really inconsistent about having a cold open contributing to the story. I really enjoyed what last week's episode did with the Orion bit, mentioning that ship in the actual episode too. Alas, this week we don't get to see the ship continuing down a destructive path, which is actually a shame if you ask me. The small throwaway scenes are adorable, and not having one around a Betazoid ship was a real missed opportunity I think, given what we see from the Betazoid guests in the rest of the episode. It could have been awesome, although not all is lost for it's the reason they're on the Cerritos. Plus, these Betazoid women actually help contribute to the overall story as well. While we didn't see the ship get closer to Federation space, the Cerritos crew is now aware of its existence. The series has been a little lacking in the hints department. It set up this really big threat nicely, and I'm generally excited to see what's inside that ship. More importantly, how this continues to be built up and when the ship is going to first meet up with the Cerritos. It's bound to be explosive. Could it be someone we know too? Imagine if someone like Badgie, Agamas, or perhaps Peanut Hamper were behind this. The consequences not only for the Cerritos but the galaxy could be dire. Maybe. The real meat of this episode comes from the 3 Betazoid delegates which are brought aboard the ship. It's one of those Star Trek classic tropes where an alien delegation needs transport. In terms of recent Trek, it's one of the least used tropes currently. It's nice not only to see it again, but seeing it done so well was a real treat. Writer Jamie Loftus really understands the assignment here, creating an inversion of a classic Star Trek setup without it feeling too formalic. Where Betazoids are involved, and the title of this episode talks about empaths and logic, some mental chaos is bound to follow. Surely after the delegation arrive, people will start losing their minds and engaging with their worst impulses. We've seen the Cerritos go mad a couple of times, but things have changed a lot over the years. Our main characters have been promoted, and the cast more broadly have sort of settled into their characters a lot over these years. Even a reoccurring character remained memorable, with Dr. Maglimio getting a solid laugh out of me for a bit with that soup. Although most of the praise here has got to be to Gillian Vigman, the voice of Dr. D'Anna, letting Vacation go wild, threatening to eat the Betazoids and her exchange with Shax being absolutely top notch. It's certainly not character growth, but it's wildly funny and more than I expected for this episode. As the ship descends into chaos on Red Alert, it's redirected back to Betazoid by the spy visitors. It was like the ship potentially crossing into the neutral zone was done purely to raise the tension, as if the time sensitivity added to a little drama. Yeah. Outside of giving a character a time limit to solve a problem, it didn't really amount to anything. At no point in the episode did it feel like anyone was in any real danger. Although I particularly enjoyed the banter between the 3 Betazoid delegates. Seeing him communicate telepathically as the situation unravels around them was great. Knowing that the other characters couldn't hear what was going on made it oh so much funnier. Captain Freeman certainly deserves a lot of credit for outsmarting him, in one of the episode's more badass moments. As manufactured as Crisis was, I wouldn't mind Betazoid intelligence coming back into the series. It was a lot of fun at the end of the day. Seeing them averted just in time as the problem was solved was sweet, although it was a little less for the consequence of potentially crossing the neutral zone and more for the resolution of taking it by surprise. I genuinely didn't think it would happen this way, but in hindsight, the resolution makes perfect sense. Somehow, more happened here in the span of 25 minutes than in most Star Trek episodes in the past. There are some great stuff on the bridge and beyond this week, which I really enjoyed. So it turns out I was right at the end of last week. From start to finish, this episode belongs to T'Lyn, played by the amazing Gabriela Reyes. I adored her as an outsider, thrown into the environment trying to fit in on the ship. The Lower Decks cast, particularly the main quarrel of Boimler, Tendi, Mariner and Rutherford, are quite a tight-knit bunch. Adding a 5th character here is a risky gamble, and it always was going to be with Star Trek Lower Decks, but it truly paid off in this episode and last week. She embodies what so many Trek series have benefited from in the past. Having a character who's a total outsider, getting to sit with them and seeing her inner struggles was a thing of beauty. Having the solution being talked through rather than retreating and running away, there's nothing more Starfleet than courage in the face of adversity, and nothing more Vulcan than coming to terms with your feelings. I am so down to see where T'Lin's story develops over the next couple of weeks and for the next couple of episodes. I hope that she's able to come to her own and encourage more wild tendencies. There's certainly more of a journey of her on board the Cerritos. If anything, her finding a home among the team helps to ensure the strength of her homely camaraderie they've developed over the years. Her addition presents an interesting challenge to the crew, and everyone seems to be coming out stronger. She's become my favourite character on the show for sure, and I really felt for her here. The episode actually has some real heartwarming moments underneath the chaotically funny scenes around the ship. They weren't just around T'Lin's character development either. The moment between Shax and Boimler was a perfect representation of what Gene Roddenberry intended for a crew in the 24th century, that being their mental health is just as important as their physical health. It's nice to see that it's in the spotlight once again, and it's cool to see how the show treats Shax as something other than just a brute. The stuff in the security training room was full of genuine comedy as well, giving everyone time to unwind and watch their characters fumble through charades ended up being funny as hell. Keijian was particularly bad at charades, to nobody's real surprise. Every time he tries to communicate cracks me up to no end. These sweeter moments are what I feel Lower Decks does so well. Sure, we get some grand space plots, but the show really is about characters, how the lower officers react to them in particular. Boimler's grown a lot so far this season. Not only has he been forced out of his comfort zone and into his own quarters, but now he's being forced to unwind. It's important to take a break, and it's important not to push yourself. Everybody can learn from that. While a simple lesson, it's one that resonates in these strange times. I didn't see myself getting a little emotional in a Lower Decks episode, especially about this sort of thing, but it really blew my expectations for what this show can do just out of the water. So, as fun as it was to revisit the USS Voyager, as cute as a Moopsie was, or as funny as a Mark Twain bit was, I really think this is one of the strongest episodes of the season so far. This is what Star Trek is really about. Not the fun missions, but the way the characters react to them. Spending time in T'Lin's head was long overdue, but also held off until just the right moment. Across the board, everything here was really strong. It was funny, it was heartfelt, and it was also representative of the very best of Trek's ethos. Next week seems to be going a little more into the overt comedy with Ferengi in the title. We saw in the trailer that both Rom and his wife Lita seem to be making a return. Given how long ago that trailer was released, it's safe to assume they're not just small cameos. As a massive fan of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I am beyond excited to see what's happening. It looks like the Ferengi room for some reforms, so it'll be nice to see how that's going. Very exciting potential next week for us big Star Trek lore nerds. You can find Star Trek Lower Decks streaming every Thursday on Paramount Plus in the United States, Latin America, UK, Australia, Germany, France, Italy, Austria and Switzerland. Each episode is also broadcast on CTV Sci-Fi channel in Canada, currently that might have changed. The season will also stream in South Korea on Paramount Plus later in the year when the service arrives there. For more reviews, news and general geeking out about Star Trek, make sure to follow and subscribe to Trek Central. But alas, I ask yourselves, what do you think of the latest Star Trek Lower Decks episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you not enjoy it? Let us know in the comments below. Because of course, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, you know where to find it. Okay everyone, I've been Captain Jack, thank you very much for watching, and as always, live long and prosper my friends, goodbye.